All
right, so let's start with that. Let's start with that. You are the only one that has hopped on so far, right? So, all right, by the way, today is November 25th, 2023, and we are doing a coaching call Q&A, kind of like an open conference, right? And I put the message out, and so far you're the only one that's hopped on, right? You're the only one that's here. You thought there'd be more people here, so therefore, like, you would be able to blend into the crowd and play small. But here you are, just you and me. Nobody else has hopped on, and therefore you're like, oh shit, right? But that's the thing, like, that's the problem. That's the mentality problem right there, because you think that you have to hide, you think you have to blend in. When we actually look back, because you've stood out, because you always show up, because you do the coaching calls, because you actually do all the check-ins, have you not been able to level up and be honest with you, past and been able to do better than a lot of the people in the program that don't show up, that they miss the coaching calls, that they don't ask questions? Yes or no?
Yes.
So therefore, that matters. Identify that. The same way that we stack our wins when we think of something positive that you did, you also have to look at the things that you're changing that used to be bad that have become positive, and that's also you stacking your wins. Today, you were able to go to the gym in the morning when you normally don't do that. Today, you were able to make a change in your routine and you felt better for it. Today, you were able to accidentally post on your story and you got a lot of positive feedback back. So when we think about stacking our wins, we think about like, all right, I was able to do this more. I was able to do this better. But we don't think about like, all right, in the past, I wasn't able to do this at all, and now I do. In the past, maybe I didn't show up for myself, and look, I'm showing up for myself. Just because you're not making more progress based on where you're at, it doesn't mean that you've made more progress from where you were before. I know, it doesn't make sense. So think of it this way. You're here right now. And if you work out and you do all these things right, and blah, 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 in a week from now, you will be here. And that's how we think about stacking our wins. But we have to remember, when we're here, we have to think about everything that we've done that got us to go from here to here. So you've been able to show up. You've been doing the coaching calls. You asked the questions that you have to ask. All of those things are wins as well. So right now, this is a win because you are making yourself a little uncomfortable, understanding that this is going to be recorded and people will see it. Like, that's okay. And nothing bad's going to happen. The world's not going to come crushing down on you. That is a win. And you have to see it that way. Because when you look at the wins of the things that typically you don't pay attention to, that's where you can realize that you have many more wins than besides just the physicals. When you look at the wins of the things you've been able to change about yourself, that will actually add to the list of wins that you have, which can be going to the gym consistently, being able to meal plan, having your 3 meals a day, doing the coaching calls, planning out your week, doing your finances. Those aren't the only wins. This is a win of you allowing yourself to be a little uncomfortable and realizing that because you've been doing this, because you keep showing up, because you refuse to just waste your time in this program, you are where you are at because of that. You're here because of everything you've been doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So why slow down? Why do less? Why blend in? Stand out. Do more. Let people be jealous of you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Now, to answer your specific question, you said that because you've had a huge change in your life, right now you're in a stage of blah. That's my perception. Like, you just don't know how to get going. You don't know how to like make consistent change of like, all right, my new schedule is this and I'm going to follow it. It's because of the things that you say to yourself and because of the way that you see yourself. You have to treat your life right now as an era of reconstruction. You have to treat your life right now as a phase that you get to decide how it plays out. Nobody dictates your time. No one tells you what time you have to be home. No one tells you what time you have to be this place or that place. You do. And it's all on you. It's all on your shoulders. Which means that you can either sink or swim. And that's scary. I get it. But because it's all on your shoulders, you have to make sure that every second counts. Every decision you make should be aimed at your goal. And if your goal is, I need to be better at my time management. No, your goal should be, for this week on Sunday, I'm going to spend 2 to 3 hours planning each and every day. That's your goal. Like, be specific. I don't tell you to go to the gym and do a workout. What would that even mean? You go there, you do whatever. No. If you have a goal in mind, you have to be specific. Because if your goal is like, oh, I want to be healthier. Well, what does that mean?
SMART goals.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. SMART goals.
Yeah.
Because that's the acronym.
Specific, measurable,
sorry.
attainable. Specific, measurable, attainable. Realistic, I think, is the R, and T.
Mhm.
What's the T? T is.
We use that a lot.
The T.
I use that a lot at work.
What's the T?
Specific, measurable, SMA, attainable, R, realistic, and T, I believe is time. Like, you have to have a time frame.
So you have to have SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time, right? There has to be a time on it. So when you do that, you think, what am I going to do? It's not about, I want to be healthy. That's so freaking general. Think about, I want to lose 2 pounds per week. How am I going to do that? By going to the gym 3 times per week, by making sure that I do the training that is in my program for me, by making sure that I eat the meals that I'm supposed to eat, by making sure that I go to bed when I'm supposed to go to bed. And by the end of the week, you will actually have lost 2 pounds the right way, not by starving yourself, not by being so stressed out that you forget to eat. That's not how it works. And then you can replicate it. And then when you hit that kind of like new level, you can try and work on that next level. New levels have new devils, right? So new levels have new temptations, right? Now, your time is in your hands. There's a temptation of not doing anything. There's a temptation of like not organizing yourself because like you're free. But are you free, or are you finally in control? It's all about how
control.
Yes, it's all about how you frame everything. So you have to frame things to show that you are in control. Does this make sense so far?
Yes, it does. Yes, it hits all the points.
So what kind of changes can you make?
What kind of changes I can make? I can be more organized. Actually sit down and plan out every day.
You're being general. Be specific. What kind of changes can you make?
What changes can I make? Putting me on the spot, coach.
Yes.
Changes that I can make include using my planner, my calendar that I have on my phone, and scheduling things into there, because I've done that before and it's helped.
Okay, and what stopped you from doing that? Like, what made you stop doing that?
Because I felt like I had like a rhythm going, but now with like these changes that I've had, I have to find my new routine and what works for me. Because what I used to do is not working anymore, because now I'm in control of everything, and that is very scary. So, and it's like the realization that like, if I didn't get something done, like, whose fault is it? It's my fault. Like, I didn't plan accordingly, or I decided to do something else when I should have sat down and done X, Y, and Z.
Okay, so think about that. In the past, you've been able to do it. Why have you not been able to do it now? Your schedule is different now, right? But like, you are in control of it. So that means that like, you need to literally choose when you're going to do that. You have 9 to 5, like specifically different hours, but you have a regular set schedule, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that you could literally do something every single Sunday at 5 p.m. if you wanted to.
Correct.
So then you need to start putting on your calendar at 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. on Sunday or whatever day you want to do it. I prefer to do it around 11 a.m. on Sundays because that's when I'm happiest. And allow yourself 2 hours, maybe less, to plan out your week. And when you do that, be specific. Go into the notes, and in the notes of your reminder, or put on your calendar, actually, put everything you have to plan out. And then take that and put it in your week, right? Use the formula that I gave you with the perfect week formula, and then actually put it into your calendar. And guess what? What's nice about your calendar is that you can actually set recurring events. You can set it where every single Monday at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. or whatever, it says gym time, and it pops up on the address. You've been doing that, right?
Yes, and I still need to share about that in the group because yes.
So then you can do something like that.
Okay.
And when you do that, when you actually make the decision to make that change, it's there for you to follow or there for you to ignore. And if you ignore it, then you have a different problem because then your priorities aren't right. The same way that we use technology to freaking scroll on social media or post on Snapchat or this or that, we need to use technology to benefit us. So you should have a specific schedule that you follow. Now, if you want to do something on the weekend and you have a wedding that you're going to, guess what? You can pull up your calendar. All right, Saturday night at 7 p.m., I have do my finances, but I have a wedding to go to. All right, I'm going to move it, click and drag it, and move it to Sunday at 10 a.m., where you have an open slot. Okay? Living life in control means deciding what you do with every one of your hours.
Yes.
It's not about like, oh, I'm going to see what I'm going to do this weekend. Or, oh, maybe my friends will be free. Maybe I'll do something. You should never see what you're going to do this weekend. You should know what the fuck you're going to do this weekend because you are in control of your day-to-day. Nobody else is.
Yes, which I've been noticing that I've been kind of like more like, oh, I'll just see what I do. But then I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, oh, like you should have done this today and you should have done this and then this and that. And you were just kind of waiting around. It's just kind of going with the flow. And then I get mad at myself because I'm like, whose fault is it? My fault because I didn't plan accordingly. Like you said, like I should be knowing what I need to do, knowing all these things that I need to do.
You can't live with this whole I should have. If you should have, then you should have done it. Right?
Yeah.
What I want you to work on is like understanding that when you say I should have done this or I should have done that, like stop right there and put it into your calendar or put it into your reminder list to put into your calendar. The calendar is better because you actually have a time slot. Tell you what, rich people, successful people, they don't have to-do lists. They don't have reminders. They have time blocking where on Saturday, they're going to get their oil change done, not just put it on their reminder list, get my oil change done. It doesn't work that way. Like successful people put their things that they want to do on their calendar. And when it happens, when that time slot is there and it says, get your oil change done, guess what they do? They get their oil change done. It's not about, oh, I have a list of things to do and I'm going to look through it to see which one I'm going to do right now. No, like you know when you're going to do it because you've decided when you're going to do it. Okay?
Okay.
What are 3 things that you need to put on your to-do list that you keep like playing around with in your head?
I need to call my mechanic because there's something. I'm sorry?
For what?
I need to call my mechanic because my car has an oil leak and I need to get that fixed. So that needs to be done soon.
Okay. And it's step 1 for that, call your mechanic, or is it take your car to the mechanic? Do you have to call him first?
I have to call him first to see his availability, and then.
So change that wording, okay? It's not call my mechanic, because then what happens is the moment you call your mechanic, and he says, "Oh, you know what? Call me back," or "I don't have anything this week. I'll get back to you," or yeah, for sure. Just bring it in on any day during the week. Then you're gonna tell yourself like, "Okay, I completed my task. I called my mechanic. I called my mechanic. I'm done. Like nothing else has to be done." That's the wrong language. The language should be schedule your appointment. So you're not done until you schedule your appointment. So if you call him and you don't schedule your appointment, you're not done. It doesn't get removed off your list. You didn't call your mechanic. And if he tells you, you know what, call me back tomorrow or whatever, then you move that reminder to tomorrow. And then you do it. Made sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's one thing. I need to name two more things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Two more things because I have to get going. So it's that, and then I don't know. Actually, no, I do know. I have to do an application and I need to polish up the materials I need for it and submit it.
What application?
An application for grad.
Okay. So what would that look like?
I need to set time aside to work on it.
Okay, and do you need to finish the application? Like, is that the best language?
No, by this date, I need to turn it in by the due date, so I should give myself a time frame by when I want to get it done, so I'm not procrastinating and rushing at the last minute.
Okay, then this one is a little bit different. What you're gonna do is you're gonna divide it by how many hours.
Hi, Heather. I saw Heather joined.
Heather's on? Awesome.
I'm off the hook. No,
No, you're not.
I tried.
All right. So for something like that. So if you know that you have to finish something by the 28th of December, that gives you a whole month to finish it, right? Okay, how long do you think it'll take you? Let's just say 4 hours, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what you do is you divide the project into 4-hour segments and you put it on your calendar and you name it. Begin working on application block 1 of 4. And you put it on your calendar and you slot it for an hour when you have availability. And then the next weekend or whenever you have another slot open, continue working on application block 2 of 4. And then later, a week later, or maybe 2 weeks later, finalize or, finish application, because I want you to try and finish it on block 3. And here's why. Block 4 is going to be review and assess any changes I have to make to my application and submit. And now it's on your calendar. So if you have something big you have to do and it's due in a month, break it down into hours of how long you think it's going to take you to do, and then put it on your calendar. And that way it becomes less scary. It's not like, oh, I have to work on this application. It's going to take me 4 hours, but it's not due until a month from now. So I have time. And then before you know it, it's the 24th. And now you have to spend 4 hours of your weekend doing it when you could have been working on it consistently throughout the month. Make sense?
Yes, because it's been happening to me a lot lately.
All right. What's number 3?
Oh, dang it. Okay, so mechanic, that stuff, and then number 3 would be let me think, hold on.
Hot. I got it. You should put on your calendar, do my weekly finances.
Oh, thank you. Yes, do that.
And it should say complete my weekly finances for the entire week and schedule whatever time you think it'll take you to actually do it, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Because that way you can actually do it every single week. And maybe this week it takes you 30 minutes. Maybe next week it'll take you 15 minutes. You can change the time slot. You can literally set something to be recurring on your calendar and you can make sure you set it up so it's easy for you to actually finish it. We have these things that we want to do one day and one day I'll get to it. It's not one day, it's day one. Like you have to start now. And starting now doesn't mean that you do your application right now. It means like you take time and you put it on your calendar. And guess what? Like you have enough time to do it tonight. You're going to a wedding, right?
Yes.
You're going to be at the table and at some point in your night, you're going to have time to pull out your phone and spend a minute to 2 minutes putting these things into your phone, into your calendar. And that way you don't have to plan. Because we always have time, because I know at some point in your night, you're going to go on social media and scroll for a little bit. You're not going to be busy the whole night. You can do it right now before you leave to the wedding. If you have 2 or 3 minutes, do it now. We need to stop planning to plan. Oh, I'm going to put it into my calendar tomorrow, or I'm going to do it next week. Bullshit. Like, do it now and actually follow through with it. Right? And follow through with it by actually like doing what you say you're going to do. Discipline isn't about like having this amazing like willpower that, oh, I'm going to work out, and you jump out of bed and you freaking throw on your workout clothes and you go to the gym and you fucking just pump it out. No, that's not discipline. Discipline is being able to stay devoted to change even when you don't feel like doing it. Making the decision to still do what you said you were going to do when you felt like doing it. That's discipline. And discipline does equal freedom, because then you will have the freedom to actually not have to worry about your schedule, the freedom to actually get the body that you want, the freedom to actually be able to do all these things that are causing you all this anxiety and are like leaving you in like analysis paralysis. You just have to put it on your calendar and then do it when it says to do it, okay?
Yes, sounds good.
I know you have to hop off, so enjoy the wedding, have fun. Heather?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye,
Bye.
Heather.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Heather? I can't see you.
I don't know how to fix that.
Bottom left. Yeah, you do. There you go. How you doing?
Fabulous.
So, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. What would you like to talk about?
I don't know what I just saw it was a a thing, so I jumped on.
All right, so I'm going to give you the same prompt that I gave Jenny. Like
Great.
today, I want you to use this time to expand on anything that maybe we've talked about in the past. So maybe in the past, I told you like, you know, make sure that you do this or you try this or X, Y, or Z. And maybe you didn't have the best idea of how to do it, right? But now you can ask the question to further maybe ask for details or a plan or a strategy or a better way of actually following through with it, right? Does that make sense?
Give me an example.
All right, for example, if you have been trying, and this is just going to be a general example, it doesn't necessarily apply to you or doesn't. If you've been trying to work on getting your meal prep done, and in the past, I've told you like, all right, make sure you set time aside in your calendar and, you know, go to the grocery store and buy the groceries and come home and make the meals and label them and, you know, actually have the meal. That's a very general piece of advice. Now we can get very specific and we can be like, all right, so on Sunday, set aside 2 hours and go through your list, look at your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, decide what meal you want to have based on how long it's going to take you to make, or, you know, what kind of recipes you need. Then look at your fridge and look at what ingredients you already have. And then make your list either on paper or on reminders, or the best way for you to make that list, or maybe you do shopping online and they deliver the food to you. And while you're waiting for the food to be delivered, or if you're going to go pick up the food, do this or this or that. So it's more specific strategy. So when we think of strategy, right, we can think of tactical or strategic. Strategic is like long-term planning of how to do something. Tactical advice is like specifically how to go about doing it. So strategically, meal prepping is the long run lesson, right? But how can we tactically make some changes? And that's when we go into detail. I lost your video.
Yes, you did.
Okay, you want to stay off camera?
Yes.
Okay. So what would be something that maybe you want to expand on a little bit, or it could be about something else?
I don't know. I mean, I do some of those things already. I guess. Are you saying that I'm not? I'm not understanding.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that maybe in the past, The example I gave wasn't directed at something that you do. The example I gave is just a general, how can we dive a little further into a piece of advice or something that you're working on? So for someone else, maybe that's meal prep. For you, it might be something else. So like the example I gave isn't directly related to you. It was just an example. So if there's something that you're currently working on that maybe you want a little more clarity on, or maybe you want some like steps or action items that you can actually apply, this is the time to kind of ask, or you know, we can talk further into detail about what that looks like, what that is. Make sense?
No.
Okay, so like, all right. Here's an example. If, let's just say that you've been journaling, right? And you've been doing pretty well with it, where you do it consistently and you don't miss, right? But are you getting the most out of it? Meaning that, do you feel like you could be doing it in a better way, or maybe getting better results from it, or understanding why you're doing it and the value of it? And I'm not saying that you don't understand it. Don't get me wrong. I can't see your facial reaction, so I hope you're with me here. But
I am.
okay, cool. So what we could cover on is, okay, you've been journaling. How can we be more specific and more tactical with the journaling? All right. Maybe what we need to do is come up with a set of prompts. There's a T in there, that we can cover throughout the week. Where on Monday, the prompt will be, talk about a situation in your life where you wish you would have handled it differently, and then explain why you're happy that you didn't. And that's a hard one, because then you have to really think. It's not just about where you are right there in the moment. And the reason why it's valuable to journal is because it's very much like therapy. People think that therapy is about getting advice and someone telling you what to do. It's not. They don't give you advice. They take what you say, help you reflect on it, and they help you see clarity in what it is that you're saying. Understanding why a feeling that you're feeling or an emotion that's coming up for you is valid, or maybe why it's not. And they're not going to tell you, hey, you're wrong, like that's not real. They're going to tell you, okay, and why do you feel this way? And do you think that that's fair? And X, Y, or Z, to bring you to the point where you tell yourself, like, all right, that's not a valid feeling. Journaling is a way of doing self-therapy, where you can write about something, you can further elaborate on it, you can actually kind of pick it apart and then look back at it, or even as you're doing it, and learn from it. A prompt that you could write about is, tell me about a situation where you felt guilty about something, and why do you still feel guilty now? And as you write about it, it might come to you, and you might understand that like you have no reason to feel guilty anymore. Maybe you've made amends. Maybe you didn't have to make amends. Maybe it's a feeling that you felt that at the time felt real, it felt valid, but as you grow and mature and level up, you can reflect back on it and realize that was not my responsibility. There was no reason for me to feel guilty about it. And you can let it go. You can remove it from that burden that you feel on yourself and just let it go. Another example of a prompt could be, what are some of your life goals and what are you planning to do to get there? And that could look like, I plan on doing this. And how I can do that is by making sure that I do this and I don't do this and I don't do that. For example, I plan on growing my veteran coaching business to be a multi-million-dollar company and serving thousands and thousands of veterans all across the country, as well as civilians. And I plan on being able to talk on stage one day and hold seminars like Tony Robbins, and even bigger for veterans. And I plan on being able to reduce the veteran crisis of suicide by tackling the problems that get you to that point. Not the veteran suicide. When you are at the point where you are at that place mentally, it's much harder and sometimes too late to bring people back. So I plan on making sure that I address the veteran issues before they ever get to that point, at the start of their problems. And how do I do that? Well, I need to diligently grow my business every single day and make sure that I show up for my clients so they get value, so they can transform their life, so I can get value from them as well. I need to grow my business by making sure that I continue to make my videos. I need to make sure that I grow my business by taking away all the negative people around my life, because when they bring me down, my business suffers. I need to make sure that I track everything properly, that I look at my numbers properly. You see how it's much more specific?
Yes.
So that's another way that you can start journaling differently. So again, what I'm trying to say is that when we have a plan of what we want to work on, what we want to do, it might just say journal. And that is a strategic move. That is a long-term like idea of what you want to do. But when you can become more tactical, and tactical means like action item, you can think about, all right, I've been journaling. I want to do it a little bit differently to get more value out of it and feel the feels. And like, it's going to like suck, but I promise you, you'll feel better afterwards. The same way that therapy feels. When you start, it's terrible and you question it. And you tell yourself, why would I go to this place where I'm going to freaking leave crying? And then one day you get over that hump and you realize that you feel better because now you've been able to let go a lot of the things that were holding you back. If mentally you stay where you used to be, you will shrink to who you used to be. But if mentally you can let go of who you used to be, you will be able to grow and shed away and break away from the chains of what used to hold you back in place. Does all of this make sense?
Yes.
So what would be something that you think we can focus on tactically to maybe make a small list of action items? It could be the journaling. It could be something else. It's up to you. And then we can start taking action on it. Because like I said, like you have to adjust to the new temperature of the room, right? So in the past, if all you could do was this, then this was as far as you could push. But if now you can push all the way up here, you can do more, then you have to be able to facilitate yourself in doing more by not making it harder for yourself. What's a better way to say that?
Elaborate. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I know I'm trying here because that didn't even make sense to me. So
Dumb it down for me.
well, I need to dumb it down for myself because I confuse myself. So in the past, if all you could do was home workouts and you could only get maybe one journaling session in a week because of your circumstances, or if you couldn't meal prep because you didn't have space in the fridge, or you couldn't do this or that, now you can do a lot more. You're more capable, you have more resources, you have more tools, you can do a lot more. So because you can do a lot more now, because you can diligently follow a schedule of journaling, you need to start finding other ways to make it harder for yourself, to make it more challenging for yourself, to still make it where when you do it, it makes you a little uncomfortable. Because if you allow yourself to get to a place of just constant comfort, your growth slows down. When I talked about being in momentum, it means that, okay, if last month you can only do 1 week of meal prep and this month you do 2, I want you to next month hit 4. Stay in the momentum, because if you do 2 this month and then you do 2 next month, like you will grow, you will stunt your growth. All right. Now you know what you're capable of, because now you're awake and now you know that you are capable of much more. You can do more. There was a Harvard study back in 1978 where they put a rat in a pool of water, and the rat swam for about 45 seconds. And the rat realized that he wasn't going to be able to get out. And then the rat sank and died. 45 seconds. Well, they took another rat, threw him in the water. Same thing. 45 seconds. He starts paddling, realizes he's not going to get out, and he starts to sink. And he's about to die. Well, they pull the rat out, and the rat survives. Now, the rat knows that eventually he will be able to get out of the water. So now they put the rat back in the water. How long do you think the rat pedaled for before they had to pull him out?
I don't know.
Freaking 8 hours. The rat was able to do about 30 to 40 times more of what he did initially because he knows that there is safety coming. Because now you are in a place, Heather, where you know that you're going to be able to accomplish these things no matter what. You're going to keep pedaling. You're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep going. You have to expect more from yourself. Push yourself. Do more. If you are at a point where you are becoming complacent with the things that you've been doing, do them more. Do them in a harder way. You're not supposed to feel comfortable with growth. Growth is a lifetime, like it's a lifelong lesson. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Now, can you turn your camera on so I can see your facial expression?
No, I will not.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm gonna bounce.
Okay. Bye. All righty. I'm going to use this time to talk about strategy and tactics, right? So strategy is the long term. It's the whole game plan of like a workout regimen or starting a business or getting in shape or eating healthier. Tactically, and tactics are the specific action items that you can take to get there. Strategically, I'm building my business so in 10 years from now, I am here. But tactically, what can I do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that my long-term plan succeeds? This right here, doing a coaching call, a Q&A coaching call, and during the downtime where no one's here, I'm going to try and deliver some value. Strategically, my business will keep growing. Tactically, I do the coaching calls. I do the Q&As. I do the Thriving Thursdays. I do the Mindset Mondays because they will all keep pushing that needle further and further to make sure you actually get to your goal. But if you don't do the small things that matter, if you don't take the time to program your workouts into your calendar, if you don't take the time to actually set aside your gym clothes in your gym bag and set your alarm, your strategic long-term plan is never going to succeed. So for example, we have clients in this program, and I'm not going to say names, but they are very sound strategically. They know that in the long run, they want to get here, but the day-to-day, they haven't learned to prioritize it properly. The day-to-day, they are still lacking in. 1 second. So if you think strategically only, you're only thinking about where you're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. And you have to think strategically. That's the long game, right? But tactically, the action items that you can take on a day-to-day, they do matter. So if today you make the tactical decision to set your gym clothes right by the door, put your alarm to make sure that it actually wakes you up, maybe turn your lights on as soon as you wake up, maybe have your pre-workout staged, maybe make sure you leave the house with enough time to actually have travel time to get to the gym, and maybe when you do your workout, you silence your phone. All of these are tactical decisions that you can make to make sure that you actually follow through with your long-term strategic plan. All of these are tactical decisions that you can make to make sure that you follow through with your long-term strategic plan. So all of these are small tactical decisions that you can make to make sure that you follow through with your long-term strategic plan. You don't get to the top of Mount Everest by telling yourself, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. It's about preparing. It's about the training. It's about buying the right equipment. It's about hiring a guide. It's about making sure that you have acclimation periods. It's about making sure that you have the right boots, the right equipment, the right season to climb. It's about making sure that you know what you're going to do if this happens, if an emergency happens. It's about preparing. All of those day-to-day things that you have to do to get to the top of Mount Everest, all of them matter. So I'm going to be here for another 11 minutes. What is something else I want to share with you guys? Let's see. I'm just playing with the settings here. Yeah. All right. Let me think. All right, here we go. So we talked about Thanksgiving. We talked about making sure you have good lines of communication. We talked about making sure that we make the right decisions in the moment and we make the right decisions in the long run. So if you are going to have a situation that you know is going to be frustrating and it's going to give you anxiety, let me know. And then we can talk about it and we can come up with a better plan for it. Right? Does that make sense? Honestly, like you have to think ahead. You have to realize like you are in charge of your future. And instead of staying silent and hoping for the best, make sure that the best does happen by making the right decisions. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You get to make the decision of what happens and what doesn't. It's all up to you. I'm going to go ahead and end early because I do have a call with Jeremiah and I want to prepare for it. Jenny, I want to thank you for being here and being vulnerable and being willing to hear what we had to say and hopefully making some changes. And Heather, I want to thank you for being here, being vulnerable and allowing us to have that conversation that will hopefully help you in the long run. I know it's not easy. It's uncomfortable. But you two ladies are honestly freaking rock stars. You're all stars. Because you made a decision to show up today, that is why you have made the progress you have made. Because when you don't show up, when you don't make changes, it directly correlates with your success. And I think it's a prime example. And there's a reason why you two are honestly doing very well, because you show up. You ask the questions. You allow yourself to feel uncomfortable. You shed the tears. And that is good. That is something I'm proud of. And I don't want you to stop doing that. Have a beautiful night. See you guys later. Bye.